This episode of The Answer is Yes Baja Sessions is brought to you by Baja Bound Insurance Services. Driving to Mexico? You can buy and print out your Mexican auto insurance policy online in minutes with their easy-to-use website. They also have great travel information to help you plan your trip south of the border. Visit bajabound.com, the easiest way to get Mexican auto insurance.
Welcome to the Baja Sessions. This is our weekly show where we talk about all things Baja, and as you can probably guess, we're very pro-tourism. And I think right now is a great time to be talking about what's happening down there and how you can get there hassle-free, because that's a reality. And today I've got Tim Barnes on the phone from Boca Roja Tours. Tim, great to have you on the phone. What's happening?
Hey, Jim. Good morning. Really excited to be connected again. But, for us, I'm looking at a calendar filled with trips to head down into the Valle and finding other opportunities to connect with customers in San Diego who are intrigued by all the exciting changes that are happening down in Valle de Guadalupe.
Yeah, it seems like every time you turn around, they're doing something else down there. There's a new winery or a new restaurant or something to do that really you can blink and there's a new winery there for you.
It's true. It's funny, and I used to blush and feel a little silly, but from a Saturday to a Saturday, in 1 week's time, I'll be hosting a group, and we'll turn a corner, and they'll ask me what something is, and I'll look and say, honestly, that was not here last week. And it's not because I don't know. I don't want to come off like I don't know where I'm going, but I'm like, truly, these things are coming up overnight, and it's just such an exciting energy, and it's cool to see the local culture, especially the younger crowds from, coming out of that excellent university in Ensenada, really inspired by the wine and food culture and just how much support and momentum it's gained our customers feel it immediately. They know that this is something that's changing, something that's special, and it's not it'll morph into what it morphs into, but it's kind of like special to say I was there now because it's changing and it's growing.
Yeah, we'll be able to say remember when, and you especially, because how long have you been going down there now in the tourism business? Like me, I know you've been going down to Baja for a very long time, but as a tour operator, sure. How long?
So we started the company about 3 years ago.
Uh-huh.
It is as much of a passion project as a business could ever be, but initially it was personal adventures with she was my girlfriend then, now she's my wife. But looking for surf and food and culture and just a quiet, relaxing getaway. And as people were intrigued by our stories and photos we were sharing, say, well, shoot, come with me. It's as good as I'm, showing on Facebook. It's not my fake, Instagram life. It's just really that awesome. And started bringing more and more friends and started to connect the dots and say, wow, this is a really, really unique situation. It's not just, it's not comparable to whatever local wine region or day trip. Valle is something that is on a world-class level, and it's right in our own backyard. So 3 years ago, we launched Boca Roja Baja Wine Adventures, and it's been nothing but great times. We've hosted, almost 4,000 people in the last 3 years.
Wow.
And every one of them, without a doubt, has had an eye-opening, mind-expanding experience saying, whatever I thought about Baja, whatever I thought was available in Mexico, it's something bigger and better than kind of their previous experience. So it's been a very enriching experience.
Sometimes we laugh on this show about you bring down somebody for the first time and the answer to this already. They fall in love. They're moving down there next week. They're packing their bags. They're going to be there. How many times have you heard that in what you're doing?
That is an internal conversation and sort of over. They're going down to Mexico for 12 hours. Maybe they've never been. Maybe they went, in yesteryear, and they've got their stories. And but it's been a while, and you can tell there's this little bit of nervous energy in the van. They're meeting a new driver. That's just getting the early morning kind of kinks out. And by that first turn near Baja Malibu, and it's just wide open coastline and houses on the beach and perfect panoramic views of the ocean, people start asking, so, just curious, what would it cost to buy that place right there? And I'm like, check the clock, and I go, great, 32 minutes into the trip, we got somebody who's moving down here for life.
Yeah, and all of a sudden
So
you're a realtor.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, no, you're right. It goes quick, and it's such an amazing place. And what I think is really neat too, it's really the most dynamic border crossing in the world. There's no other place where life on one side of the border is so different culturally, just geographically. So it's cool because even in a single day trip or a short weekend trip, you can feel like you had this grand, international travel experience. And really, if you look back over your right shoulder, you can see the Coronado Bridge almost.
Yeah.
It's this really, really neat dynamic that I think people maybe underappreciate. And then once you have it, it's like, wow, I felt like I traveled around the world, and it was so relaxing and exciting and fun. So it's got a great, great balance.
One thing I really appreciate about Baja, especially the coastlines, is that they've preserved the view. When I was growing up, I was in Newport Beach. It's really hard to see the ocean from the freeway. And you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple snapshots heading south through San Onofre and, here and there, but it's nothing like Baja. Literally almost your entire trip from, when you cross the border and you get to the coastline, all the way down to Ensenada, you're looking at the ocean, and it's amazing.
It's amazing. It rivals Big Sur. These famous stretches of coastline, like you mentioned, little pockets through LA and other places. But that's another conversation we hear from clients, because many of our clients are SoCal, San Diego residents. Again, some familiarity with Baja or maybe first timers. But we'll hear, we don't need to go to, Cuatro Cuatros. We don't need to go to that place you mentioned with an ocean view. We live in Del Mar. I've seen the ocean. I'm like, I hear you, but just trust me on this one. I'm like, all right, whatever, you're the guide. And sure enough, we turn the corner and people are oohing and awing and taking pictures like they've never seen the ocean before, and they live on the cliffs in La Jolla.
Yeah.
It really is some incredible vistas, and it feels good that life has moved a little slower, and they've made protection measures to keep those features, those natural features, available to everyone.
Yeah. Now, Tim, when I came across your website, I actually think you might have reached out to us, or somebody from your team reached out to us to say, hey, what are you guys doing? It wasn't really a business push, but I looked up your website. I was like, wow, these guys got it figured out from a tourism side. And I've been on a few of your tours. You've hosted a lot of our guests since we started up. We'd love to be doing more. But you guys really have it figured out. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about what you do and what somebody can expect when they hop on a tour to go down to Mexico?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, I joke that we built maybe the most selfish business in the world, and that, we designed something that was exactly that we like to travel. And we crossed our fingers and hoped that we could find some other folks who like to travel the way we do. But basically we want to design and offer an experience that is most exciting, most tangible, most real for a wide range of travelers. So the spirit of the trips is really going to be just as impressive and just as fun and just as relaxed for a global traveler who's crossed every line item off their bucket list and visited over 120 countries. Or the people who have never left San Diego County and are going down for a friend's birthday and they're a little bit nervous about getting out of town. Both those people end the day with us and say, wow, that was a really, really special experience. So little amenities like picking people up at their homes, just taking a little bit of the friction out of travel, because whether it's airport travel, planes, trains, automobiles, that little bit of friction, sitting in traffic, which is getting worse and worse by the day. In Southern California, if somebody's getting you right at your house, that's a stress-free way to start the day. And then what we've done intentionally is not just offer a myopic experience on just Valle de Guadalupe. The whole region of northern Baja is filled with, micro communities, microclimates, microenvironments that have their own zest, their own flavors, their own views, their own, locals, and with great stories and cultures. So we intentionally make a few stops on the way to the wine country and on the way back to showcase just how diverse this relatively small area is. And that I think gives people, which it goes just above and beyond wine and food, right? Like if it was just, we took them to a warehouse and said, here's the best wine to buy and here's a meal and we're going home. That's not as exciting. When people feel like they really had the chance to connect with the local culture and see a new side of Mexico that maybe they hadn't knew existed or never had experienced, that really shifts it and becomes this kind of, they just look at the world a little bit differently. And we can see it in their reviews and their feedback and the way that they continue to book with us and send their friends. It's really more of a life, something that's an experience that sticks with them for a very long time rather than just a hop on, hop off type of ride.
Yeah. I love what you've done, Tim, in terms of thinking about all the little things. And you're spot on with saying any type of traveler can come and enjoy with you guys. I've done both sides of the fence through my corporate life and then just personally. But what I love is when you get on get in the van, you're greeted with the driver that, we would expect that, you've got great drivers, but, you've got the Mexican blankets, you've got the ice chest with some Mexican beers and some waters. And, if somebody wants to pop one early, it's all about that. Hey, we're going to Mexico. We're here to have some fun. But then you continue that on, and as you suggested, you give them a little bit more culture than just going to a wine warehouse. You stop at the taco stand there in Rosarita, and you're outside eating tacos, and the owner comes out and shakes your hand and meets your guests, and they can watch these tacos being made. Where some trips, people are taken to that expensive breakfast that's traditional, and it's in a confined area, and it's all fancy. You're completely missing the story. Whereas when you're eating tacos outside in Rosarito and you look across the street and there's some dogs over there and there's things that you can take pictures of, the pharmacia and the bakery, that's what it's all about, right? Just that culture there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we coined it, and it's not our term. We didn't invent it, but it's really a live like a local experience.
Yeah.
The little amenities, the little, call it the bow on top touches, those feel good. But really on two sides, one, we try to couple a world-class gold standard approach to customer service and hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we've had guests truly write a 5-star review before they got in our van. They said, this is the best customer service I've ever experienced anywhere. I'm like, wow, that's hard to believe. I'm really humbled by the compliment, but wow, really? So we coupled that with, like you said, we show up in a big, beautiful, comfy, luxurious van, and a guy like me, and anyone who can't see me, I look like a surfer San Diego type guy, hops out of the van and says, hey, we're going to Mexico. Let's go have some fun. And so they get this cool balance between, the Ritz-Carlton customer service approach with this cool live like a local. When we walk in, the owners are getting up and shaking our hands. We're giving high fives to our buddies who run the place. It's, people are immediately integrated into, the institutions, whether it's the famous taco shop, the top quality boutique winery, the famous chef. Everywhere we go, our customers are getting hugs and kisses and, oh my God, we're so glad you're here.
Mm-hmm.
That feels really, really good. That's been, people ask how did you do this? Or how did you know that spot? Or how does everyone know you? And, in Mexico, and we've really built our business on this foundation. It's, business is done with friends. So we break bread with our partners. We, on weekends, we're spending time with them, hanging out with them. We didn't come in and say, what's the very best rate you can give us? And we're going to negotiate this and pull out contracts and service agreements. It was, let's just be friends and have fun. And I want to introduce you to my buddies and my customers. And I mean, it's grown like that. And that's afforded us some opportunities and access and the ability to offer experiences that are really, really unique and special for our clients.
Yeah. Now, let's just get this out of the way real fast. We should have done it earlier, but you're doing tours right now. I mean, everybody's watching the news. And I know that usually blows up what the real situation is, but what's happening in terms of the tours and going south right now? You mentioned that people are staying away, that the lines are actually a little bit shorter in some cases.
Yeah, it's funny. And so there's a situation, the caravan situation, a couple thousand people are looking to cross. we live it every day. I cross the border 2 or 3 times a week. Half my team lives in Mexico, half of them live in San Diego. So we've got our finger on the pulse in terms of what's going on. So I really actually don't, and I'll read the news, but I usually don't watch the 20